Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. Day 10 training camp. In the books, this is the last, I believe, public practice until some of the Jets joint practices next week. And I'm excited, man. Wrapping things up. You can kind of say like this is the official end of like the real training camp portion of it. Now we're talking about preseason and getting into those practices and getting, gearing it up, getting ready for the season. And I'm excited about things like that. But also I'm excited about the game this week. New York Giants versus the Buffalo Bills. Preseason Saturday on NFL Network at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And then Brian Daboll was at the podium today and he said, we have not made a decision on whether or not the starters are going to play. It's still up in the air. We'll have that decision made by the end of the week. What does that mean? That means to me that we're going to see some of the starters on Saturday. That's exactly what it means to me, because I already know, because of the track record, the weeks that we have these joint practices, we really don't see the starters in those games when we have the joint, because we got enough good looks during the joint practice that we don't have to see our starters for the game. And I hate that. Absolutely hate that. But again, that's what happens. And then in third preseason game, who knows what's going to happen there against the New England Patriots. So in my opinion, it makes the most sense to see the starters in this week one versus the Buffalo Bills. We saw it last year, week one of preseason. The Chiefs had Mahomes playing. The Bills had Josh Allen playing. There's nothing wrong with playing your guys the first week of preseason. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're just going to low manage and pretty much the opposite of ramping things up. What's the opposite of ramping things up? Turning things down, I guess, when it comes to the rest of the preseason. But we definitely need to see these starters play. Again, I don't need to see Dex. I don't need to see Malik. I don't need to see Andrew Thomas. We're not going to see Andrew Thomas anyway anytime soon. But I'm just saying, man, I need to see Russ operating behind this offensive line when there's live bullets coming after him. I need to see that. I need to really see the time, and when you don't have that red jersey on where people can't touch you, I really need to see that. I need to see this running game, and unfortunately, we're not going to see Cam Skattebo. Brian Daboll also said today at the podium that, the MRI for Cam Skattebo is optimistic. He's progressing. He's getting better. The whole day-to-day stuff is happening. I don't know if I believe that or not. I'm just concerned that, you saw him visibly upset. Now we're talking about MRIs, then we're talking about hamstrings, and we know how this stuff can linger. So it's going to be a while before we see the debut of Cam Skattebo, unless something miraculous happens. Maybe he's half Wolverine. Maybe he got a healing factor where, he's just going to be ahead of schedule. I'm hoping so, because I really do want to see Cam Skattebo in the in the preseason. I want to see him running the ball before the actual real games. Outside of that, congratulations to Greg Van Roten. We finally found out that he did have a baby girl, so salute to him. And he was also back at practice today. Slayton back at practice. Also, Collins was back at practice in a limited capacity. I didn't see Slayton at all in any of the team drills, and there were a lot of team drills today. I shouldn't say not a lot of team. There were a lot of highlights and a lot of clips being shared on social media today for the New York Giants. And again, I always enjoy stuff like that. Always enjoy stuff like that. But some of the other comments coming from Brian Daboll, he said that Tyrone Tracy is making strides in every way. He said that Singletary is also having a good camp. When he talked about Russell Wilson, he said he was glad that Russ is here. He adds needed leadership, both on and off the field, and he loves the positive impact that he has on Malik Neighbors. And I love to hear things like that, because again, the expectations for Russell Wilson when we signed him weren't extremely high, but we knew one thing that he did bring to the table was good leadership. And some people might have been scared, including myself, talking about, how are they going to accept him? Are they going to look at him like he's a cornball and stuff like that? No, you've seen Russ come right in here, pause, and become the leader of the New York Giants in a way that we have not seen since the likes of like Eli Manning. So I'm very happy, and so is the coaching staff with what everything Russell Wilson brings to the table. Also, one thing I want to get a quote too from Brian Dable. He said, and this is in regards to Russell Wilson as well. He says chemistry is very important, and he really likes how this team works together. But the real test is when you have tough times. These guys love football. So just talking about, basically his Giant story since he's been here. Obviously he got here, had the quick success. We went straight to the playoffs, all the way to the divisional round, and he becomes the coach of the year. And then you follow it up with 2 bad seasons. That's the tough times that Brian Dable is talking about. And now hopefully you're coming out of that, with some, I guess, with a lesson learned, some character that has been built. And when you're looking at the roster and the people that you added to the team, it looks like we should be getting over that hump and actually steering back into the right direction, being competitive, working towards the playoffs, and ultimately, a Super Bowl. So Brian Dable has taken notice of everything. He's not running away from anything, and he's bringing up, what this team is doing right now. And again, adds to the story. And if they have a successful season this year, then you know what? They made it through the tough times. So let's get into some of these practice notes. The Giants did have some running back tryouts. They ended up signing former Steelers running back Jonathan Ward. Don't know much about him. They said I think he had like 22 total carries last year with the Steelers. And again, the Steelers had a pretty good running back room last year with Najee Harris and what's his Jalen Warren and guys like that. So if Jonathan Ward was a part of that backfield, then he learned some things out there. Arthur Smith is a run heavy type of offensive coordinator. So hopefully he has some good stock, and we absolutely need this depth with a lot of these players that went down. Baker went down. Cam Skattebo is down right now. So that running back room is thin, and we need a body for these preseason games. Now, that means Jonathan Ward's load coming, for the Bills game and for all these preseason games is probably going to be heavy until a lot of these other guys are ready to go. But you know what it is. It's adding a man to the 90-man roster so that your starters, so that Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary right now are not getting a bulk of the carries. You still have Turbo Miller, and now you add on Jonathan Ward. Those guys are going to be get the bulk of the snaps when it comes to this preseason. When you're talking about the practice today, overall, it's been a lot of the same. You've seen the balance. You've seen the offense make plays. You've seen the defense make plays. Today, I would say that from the clips that I saw, you saw Malik Neighbors. You saw Jalen Hyde getting involved. Little Jordan Humphries getting involved. Cambry, Gunner, like the Montreal Washington, Jalen Hyde. Like a lot of people today, you saw clip after clip after clip, quarterback finding these wide receivers. One other thing that I did notice that, and Bobby Skinner pointed it out as well, you saw the quarterbacks take a little bit longer to get the ball out today. And there was a fantastic pass rush today. The defense was really getting after it. They were really getting a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks today. You saw a couple of rollouts with Jackson Dart. You saw a couple of rollouts also with Russell Wilson where they had to just throw the ball away. And you love to see things like that because, yes, we're seeing all of these wild plays and moonballs being thrown and fantastic catches being made. But, underneath all of that, you're still seeing the stories. You're still reading the comments from the beat writers and other content creators that are in the building, the fans that are in the building, saying that no, this defense is getting after it. Constant pressure. I saw a nice run stuff by our defense as well against Tyrone Tracy, and you're starting to see the things that you want to see, despite seeing all of these crazy highlights and stuff like that. So it makes me feel good because it's not just a one-sided training camp. Both sides of the ball are getting off for the most part. And we saw a nice interception from Javon Holland today. It was a pick six on Russ where he stepped in front of the pass. And those are the kind of plays that you want to see in training camp. You want to see these guys make plays. You want to see these guys make each other better. And I think that's what the New York Giants are doing right now. And again, I'm very optimistic right now for the season. Your guys already know how I feel about Week 1 against the Commanders. I think we can go in there, steal a victory, and surprise some people. But again, we got a couple of weeks before that happens. 4 weeks, I believe 4 weeks to be exact. And yeah, football is right here. Football is right here. Preseason game this week. Can't wait to see these guys do what they need to do, and not just the starters, man. I want to see these UDFAs play. There's a couple of cornerbacks that I got my eye on. Obviously the back half of the wide receiver depth chart. I need to keep my eye on those guys as well. Cambry, Montrell Washington, Bo Collins. Hopefully he's healthy enough to play. Juice Wells. The list goes on and on and on when it comes to some of these guys that are at the bottom of the totem pole right now, still trying their best to make this, this 53. And also, most importantly, the trenches. Offensive line, defensive line. I want to see us run the ball. I want to see us stop the run. That's probably the number one thing on my list right now, outside of, the offense being able to move up and down the field and not just dinking and dunking and stuff like that. So, again, another solid practice. A lot of people are giving it to the defense overall. For me, I got to go with what the people say in the building. But again, when you're watching these videos and these clips on social media, all you're seeing is the fantastic passes and catches being made and touchdowns and stuff like that are happening in practice. And again, love to see it. Either way, love to see it. But that's going to be the recap of day 10 training camp for the New York Giants. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows Big Blue Nation. Let's go.